Boruto episode 19, Sarada Uchiha. Now, of course, this is the beginning of the manga arc that we had a few years back, and it's all focusing on Sarada. I thought it was a great start. It was pretty much, verbatim, what happened. There were like a couple of extra sequences in there, I think, showing some of the other characters, but that was really about it for the most part. It's exactly the same. I think the one thing that they added that I can really remember is really the scene with Rock Lee and Metal Lee. I don't remember that being in the manga because at the time they hadn't actually shown like Metal Lee, but they'd shown like some of the other kids. So of course ChoCho is in there. We got to see Shikadai with Shikamaru, and naturally, we see Boruto. But it was pretty good. I like the way they did it. It started off a lot like the manga, where it shows all these different interactions between fathers and their children. And Sada, of course, comes across Boruto as he's kind of, he's screwing up the Great Hokage faces, just like, Naruto did in the beginning of the series. And so, I like the way it plays out, because he's like, he's painting it up, and he starts timing it. He's like, any second. And as soon as Naruto comes in, he knows when to dodge. And it was kind of funny, because he, knew exactly how long it would take him to, get to the stone faces. So, of course, they started running across the city, and I feel like it was shorter. I feel like that sequence was actually shorter than it was in the manga. I felt like he got chased around a little bit longer, but that's probably because Sarada's manga was actually the first manga that incorporated the kids. I think they show up in the very last chapter of Naruto, but I think, Sarada's thing was the first one to actually do it, because it was Sarada's chapter, and then it was Mitsuki's chapter, and then that led into, Boruto the movie, with him being the main character. He got just, the full animated movie. So I think it was actually shortened a little bit there, but, it didn't matter either way, because it was just a simple little thing. And it was Boruto trying to get the attention of Naruto, which, they're kind of, and I was really happy to see that, because I'm just so happy we're leading up to, the Boruto movie stuff, because that's what I'm more excited for. I'm ready to see Naruto and Boruto actually as a unit, instead of just oh, I hate my dad and everything, and I don't want to be anything like him, even though he's exactly like him. Maybe that's something that they can put in there that wasn't really a part of the film. So I'm like, hey, as much as you try not to be like me, you're exactly like me, because you do everything I would do, help all your friends and all this extra stuff. So maybe they'll incorporate that, some small little retcon things. But definitely a good episode. It was very simple. It was the start. I forgot it started off, with ChoCho's thing. I mentioned that in my last review, I believe. But I was like, yeah, it's funny how this ends up being, Sarada's story, but really, it all springs off of ChoCho saying, I don't think my dad's really my dad. Maybe we should go on this adventure. And that's what gives, Sarada the idea, man, why didn't I think of that? I should just leave and find my father. So after, she has a conversation with Sakura, which I thought was a pretty good scene, because they touched on it a little bit before. I think it was 2 episodes ago, when it was a Sakura focused episode with her and the rabbit thing. They touch on it there, where Sakura doesn't really have a lot of the answers, and Sakura talks about that. It's are you really even his wife? You don't know if he needed glasses or anything like that. She talks about how she may or may not need glasses because her eyes get blurry every once in a while, which I thought was very cool. I don't remember that being in the manga either, but I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it should be obvious, but there's just a reason for that. But I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, it could have been in the manga, but like I said, that was years ago I read it, so I don't really remember that being a part of the manga. And it's also, I didn't realize that until this episode, but they also actually have that in the ending, where her eyes get blurry and stuff, and she rubs her eyes, and then the images change from how her parents used to look to how they look now. And I was like, oh, I didn't notice that, before. But they go through Sakura getting mad and stuff, and then destroying the house. That's straight out of the manga. So she passes out. We get to see Shizune, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't think she was in the manga either, so it was a cool little moment to see her. And then, Sakura ends up deciding by the end, I'm going to go on this adventure. And, ChoCho's going to end up joining her. They're going to go out and, kind of have this moment where it's well, we need to find our fathers. And I'm excited to see what they do with ChoCho, because she was really funny in the manga, because she was just I don't think Choji's my dad, and she's this mysterious handsome dude, and she was kind of just saying it to whoever could be hot, and it was just it was just kind of funny. She was just my dad has to be some handsome dude, so she was kind of saying it to some random people, and it was just funny to me. So I'm excited to see some of that stuff come up again. But there's these 2 stories coming up, and one is comedic on ChoCho's side, and then it's far more serious on Sarada's side. So really looking forward to that. The scene where she's in the library, that's definitely not in the manga, but I really enjoyed that, where she is going through the story and it's like, this is the history of the Uchiha clan and everyone's wiped out. There are like 2 people on the planet, at least known, to carry the Uchiha gene, and that's Sasuke and his daughter. And like she's, like a part of the history books. It's like one of the only 2 Uchiha on the planet. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I like the way that they really sink in, that loneliness that she's feeling, where it's like, I'm an Uchiha, but I don't know the only other Uchiha, who of course is my father. And it's just like, that's pretty interesting. I like how they kind of home in on the fact that she's really lonely as this girl who not only didn't have a father, but she doesn't even have, like her actual clan isn't there to be like, this is what your dad was like, and this is what, you're like as a part of this clan, or what, what the clan was like. So it's very interesting how they kind of hone in on that, and I thought it was just very entertaining, and I'm excited to see that go forward, and like what extra stuff that they decide to kind of throw in there, because I thought that was a great additional scene. Her going to the library and stuff. At least, like I said, been years, so every time I mention something's new, I am going to say it's been years, so that could have been in there, but I really don't remember that scene of her at the library. So I thought that was a really good shot to have in there. Like I said, kind of just driving it home. Like, she's just alone in so many different elements of who she is. She doesn't know about the glasses thing. She doesn't really know much about, being an Uchiha, possibly getting the Sharingan, stuff like that. So it was just really cool. And then, of course, as things kind of play out through the episode, when she goes through the house to pick up, like, their family picture, she, of course, realizes that the picture of Sasuke is super old, which it was. Like, when I looked at that, I guess this was something I hadn't thought of when I was reading the manga, but when they showed the picture in the anime, I was like, why is that picture so effing old? And I totally forgot that that was what kind of set things off, because when she looks at the picture, she realizes it's an old picture of Sasuke when he was a part of Team Taka. And I thought it was funny that I didn't remember that, because I'm just like, why'd they use that super old picture? Like, he didn't have time to just stand around for a picture, which I guess was still technically the case. I mean, that's why they had to use that old crappy picture of him, because it's like, they just kind of slid it in there, and it's just like, it's a picture of him, it's a picture of Sakura, and then it's 2 pictures, Sarada, where one where she's like an infant, and then one where she's like, just, a smaller child. And I just thought it was super funny, but I was like, oh yeah, that's why they use that crappy picture, because that's like the only way you could have Team Taka in there. So of course she unfolds it, and she sees Karin, which I really hope they do something with Karin. As far as like the rest of the series, I'll just be honest, they don't, like, she's a part of this story, but it's not like Uzumaki style, because when we found that out in Shippuden, I was like, oh, I really want that to be important, that she's like an Uzumaki. So I kind of hope, I hope that that plays a part in the future. Like, it wouldn't be until like way after the Boruto stuff happens, but I'm like, I hope that that means something somewhere down the line. Like, I just think that would be cool, because there's, only a few Uzumaki, I mean, we don't really know how many Uzumaki are actually on the planet, but I'm just like, I would love for that to somehow be more relevant, because when that was revealed, I was like, that's a huge deal that her name is like Karin Uzumaki, and it never really became anything, because that was like during the Great War, so it's like, we got like OP characters to kill off now, so it never became anything. So I hope that they kind of utilize that at some point. I don't know if they've done that in the manga yet, but I was like, I hope they utilize that somewhere in the future, like, hey, she's an Uzumaki, maybe bring her along, maybe she'll have some extra history. She seems like she might be the type of character that would know the history, of Uzumaki. I mean, I don't know if she can know it better than Naruto, who literally went into like spirit mode and like talked to his mom and dad about like their whole history. But I would assume she would know something, and maybe, could talk to the kids or whatever, I don't know. But I just hope they utilize that, because I always thought that was a cool thing when it was revealed, and nothing like ever really came of it, but I just thought that would be cool. So of course Sarada sees this picture, she's like, oh, she wears the same glasses as me. This is a big deal. When the manga came out, it was like, holy crap, is she Karin's daughter? Is she Sakura, and Sasuke's daughter? What really happened? Which girl that loves Sasuke actually, got him in bed? So, of course, the truth will be revealed. I think it's not revealed until like the very end, actually, exactly what the truth is. But I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the manga yet, but I'm definitely excited for this story. I'm really looking forward to the next couple episodes, because like I mentioned before, this story focuses on, Sarada and ChoCho as the children, but the main adult in this is actually Naruto. Like, he's the one who's with them throughout most of this journey. And then, the other adults are all in there. Of course, Sakura and Sasuke have to be there because it's, Sakura's story about, her lineage and stuff like that. But Naruto's the one that goes on like this adventure from place to place with them. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, it's just a big part of the manga. It's even, in the ending where there's parts like the scene where ChoCho in the ending is about to get attacked, and then Naruto comes in and he uses his cloak and everything. So I'm just like, this should be fun. I'm just waiting to see all of that stuff. The ending to the manga was super cool and crazy because there are like a million characters and super powered. So really looking forward to what they're going to be doing soon. We do get our second glimpse of Sasuke in the series so far, and it's him. It starts off as just him in this portal, and then it's super simple. Like, he comes out of it, he's like, all right, he's breathing pretty heavy, shuts everything down, he goes back to his normal eye and stuff. And then it's like, he knows somebody's coming up on him. He blocks him, and then he's just like, it's time to kill somebody, and he just reactivates the Sharingan. I'm like, whoever this is about to be murdered. And that's pretty much where the episode ends. So I'm definitely looking forward to them going through the rest of this manga story. I'm very excited for how they're going to go from this story to the next story, because I assume that we're going to go from this to Mitsuki's one-shot, or I would assume it has to be somewhere in there before we get to the Boruto stuff, because there's certain elements to that. Although, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I guess they would do it after the Boruto stuff. I can't remember I guess the Mitsuki thing did come out after Boruto the movie, so it kind of makes sense. There's a certain thing in there, like I've mentioned before. It's fairly obvious with the character, but there's some secrets in there that are like super easy to figure out. But I guess that'll be after the Boruto stuff. But I'm definitely looking forward to how all of this is going to play out. Some of the little retcon moments, because most of the time this story takes place outside of the village, but I am curious to see how they utilize some of the newer characters. Like, they've put them in random places, like Metal Lee being in this episode. The last episode they had Iwabe in there, where like he didn't even exist in the manga, so it was like, oh, here's a random shot of Iwabe just to be like, hey, check it out, he totally existed during this time. So they've done that for sure so far, to just like throw in the newer characters to be like, hey, this is where they fit within this story, kind of retconning it just a little bit, just to be like, here's an extra scene with this character that wasn't in the manga before, or something like that. So, definitely cool. I definitely like that they're doing that, just because it's like, we're not forgetting that, the manga and stuff already existed, and we made these characters and they keep them separate. They make sure to throw like, it's a super random scene, but they make sure to throw the characters in there like, yep, they still exist. We're still making sure we're doing the manga stories, but we're keeping the characters that we created for the anime and stuff like that. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how that ultimately plays out, but I don't think it'll have really any effect on the story, and it probably won't even show up, because like I said, honestly, a huge chunk of this story is outside of the village. So we are not going to see a lot of the characters, which I'm actually fine with. I'm actually looking forward to seeing them like shrink the roster for the next couple of episodes, and basically all the characters we've seen, which is mostly, focused on the kids, is going to switch to, like, all the old characters. Because, like, the only two characters, really, that are new in this, in Sada's, like, manga story, it's Sada and ChoCho, like, the whole way through. And other than that, it's, like, all old characters, and then it's a new villain. And that's, like, the only thing. Everyone else is, like, an old character. So it's actually going to be pretty cool to watch, where, like, the whole story focuses only on two of the kids, and then all the other characters involved is going to be like Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, of course, Team Taka, and then, the villain comes in, and that's like the new element of the whole thing. But other than that, it's like a bunch of old characters, so it's going to be pretty cool to watch that and get to see all the adult versions of the characters. Maybe they'll add in some fights, I kind of doubt it, but that'll be super awesome. But I'm really looking forward to it. I was happy to see that this was, the beginning of this arc. I've been waiting for it forever. I thought we were going to get it like 3 episodes ago, but we are officially starting with Sarada's arc, and I'm excited. It was a really good manga arc, and I'm just excited to kind of go through this stuff. Like I said, I didn't even remember that the picture thing is what kind of set Sarada off on her journey. So it'd be cool to kind of go back through it after years of having read it and be like, oh yeah, that's when this happened, and that's what this, was about, and stuff like that. So looking forward to it for sure. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it, and definitely want to know what you guys want to see from this. Especially, of course, if you haven't read the manga, I would love to know your theories and everything like that. For those of you that have read the manga, I guess just put a spoiler tag, but I would love to know what moments from Sarada's story you guys are most excited to see. For me personally, I guess it would just have to be the ending fight. Mostly because we haven't had like a super epic fight in this series yet. We've had like the 2 episodes of Sumi, And it was like, oh, that's cool. We got to see, you know, Kakashi pull off like his purple lightning move, which is from like the light novels and stuff. So it's like, that's pretty cool. But that was 2 episodes, and there was still like a lot of talking and stuff in between that. We haven't had like a truly epic battle, and I know we're gonna get that because I've read the manga. So I guess honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to the most, just because we haven't had that like crazy epic battle just yet. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, to be completely honest. But we'd love to know what you guys are looking forward to. Like I said, if you haven't read the manga, we'd love to know what theories you guys have on, you know, the true lineage of Sada and how things are going to play out with her character, and you know what will or will not be revealed. So please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.